Hey guys, super happy to be back today with another request video. So, I'm very excited because this request that I had was actually something that I plan on doing anyway. It was on my list, guys. I got a list about this long of things that I plan on putting out for you guys. Most of them are requests. I'm trying to get them out as fast as possible. But with this amount of volume of content, guys, please be patient. Sometimes it takes a little while. But today, the request that we're going to focus on was, can you do wrist curls, right, to strengthen your forearms? Can you do wrist curls on tonal? And the second part of that request, because there's a two-part, was, can you do preacher curls on the tonal? Guys, I love my preacher curls, and I'm sure every single one of you loves a preacher curl too. We're going to be diving in today on how you can do wrist curls and preacher curls on the tonal. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so I tried to set you guys up as best as I possibly could to give you the first demonstration of the curl, okay? So this is what I want you to do. You're going to go and put your handles on, or you can use the bar as well, but I prefer handles because a lot of the time you're using dumbbells, right, when you're trying to simulate a wrist curl. So, or forearm curl, you know, they call different things, but so what you're going to do is you're going to go into free mode because free mode is the place that you're going to be able to get the generic handle movement, okay? So you're going to go on your free mode screen. You're going to click on do your own handle move, right? You're going to go to start movement. Okay, now, this is how I recommend you guys handle the wrist curl, okay? Bring your tonal arms out. Now, the benefit with tonal, guys, is, as you might be aware, you have multiple angles to use whatever angle you feel is necessary. Remember, this is your own movement. You can do what you want with it. Just try to simulate your wrist curl as best as possible with tonal, which isn't hard to do. Another thing is you also have the advantage of eccentric mode, chains mode, smart flex mode. Smart flex mode, I don't think it's going to really help you here. And actually, now that I think about it, guys, I don't know for a fact that eccentric and chains mode is going to help you with this. Now that I think about it. And the reason why is because you're not going to be doing a full range of motion on these. So let's do an experiment. Let's throw eccentric mode on, okay? Eccentric mode. All right. We're going to bring the handles down. Now remember, you can do one arm, you could do two arms, whatever works for you. Whatever you would normally do. And again, you don't have to have the handle in any specific position. You could have it in any way you want, as long as you can simulate your curl. Okay? So, you're going to come here, and might as well stare at you guys, right? Alright, so I'm going to come here. I'm going to grab these handles, and I'm going to turn the weight on. Now, it's on 5 pounds. Let me make it a bit heavier. All right, we'll put it on 10 pounds, something light. Okay, I'm going to start the weight. Okay, here we go. See what I'm doing? There's your wrist curl. Okay, good news. Eccentric mode is working. Eccentric mode is working. So even though the screen, now you see what I'm doing here? Very minimal effort. Very minimal effort. But if I made this weight heavier, I would absolutely feel a difference. And eccentric mode is, in fact, kicking in. So that leads me to believe that chains mode would kick in as well. So you have a very good opportunity to do some insane wrist curls with tonal, with the eccentric and with the chains mode. You're going to be able to burn your wrists out so good on eccentric mode, guys, because a lot of the time when you fail on a rep, it's on the concentric portion, right? So when you come up, it's going to get more tired than bringing it down slow, okay? And you're going to be able to really burn your wrists out using eccentric mode on this because You can come up super light on the concentric and then nice and heavy on the eccentric. This is exciting. This is actually very exciting. Now, to do with a wrist curl, I can imagine. Now, I want to show you guys something. Let me get a little closer here. I want to show you something here on the screen. All right. You see here, this is your range of motion. It is super, super small. Okay? Now, what's going to happen, I am assuming, and you know, it's funny because Tonal did pick up that there was some power in there. But as you can see here, the range of motion was very low. Guys, keep in mind, if you're doing these movements, and I've discussed to you in the past, if you're doing your own movements on Tonal that are not in the library of Tonal, Tonal's not giving you the option to do these movements, but you're coming up with your own movements. Just like I taught you guys on my leg workout video how to do a calf raise on Tonal, right? Very, very effective. Very, very, very effective. But because these movements are not in Tonal, because Tonal is not calibrated for these movements, guys, it's going to affect your strength score. Because Tonal's going to say, oh, look, Joe's using 10 pounds. Normally, Joe uses 60 pounds, depending on the movement. Okay? It's going to say, oh, Joe's using 10 pounds. Looks to me like he's gotten weaker. I'm going to have to lower his score. Guys, whether that matters to you or not, that's up to you. I honestly don't care. I'm finding that the strength score seems to be, ever since they tweaked it, Tonal tweaked the strength score, it seems to be way too, what would the word be? Sensitive. It's way too sensitive. My strength score is up 4 points one day just because of one workout. It'll go up 4 points, and then the next day because I missed like a couple of reps out of my total amount of reps that Tonal had me planned out to do. It drops like 4 points. It's ridiculous. So honestly, I don't know what to say. It's unfortunate. I like the way the strength score was better before. I feel like it was more consistent. And I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like it also concentrated more on, it gave you more leeway as far as, oh, you might be having a bad day. Maybe you slept a little less the night before, so you're a little weaker. I feel like it compensated better and was more of a level playing field when it came to that score. But it is what it is. But keep in mind, guys, Tonal's not calibrated for a movement like this. Therefore, your range of motion is going to be super small. So Tonal's probably going to tell you, hey, you had a horrible range of motion, right? More than likely, that's what it's going to say. I haven't tested it yet, but that's probably what it's going to say. And it's going to probably lower your score. But hey, these are just statistics that the machine's giving you. You know what you're doing. You know that you're building yourself up in this one area. So who cares about the number, right? Okay, so let me bring it back here. Let's face down again. Okay, there you go. Sorry about all the moving around, guys. Another thing that you can do, if you wanted, you could put the bench here. All right, let me just demonstrate it for you. This is, again, with a wrist curl. You don't have to do this. I recommend the way I just showed you. But what you could do is, let me move this forward a little bit more. And now you can bring this handle all the way down. Ugh. Bring this handle all the way down. You can get on the floor. And you could go like this. Okay? You see what I'm doing? Up and down. Just like regular dumbbells on a bench. Put something down so your knees don't get hurt. And just come up and down like this. Keep in mind, though, this is important. Very, very important. If you don't know how much weight you're putting on this, on Tonal, when you do this, because of the way your arm is positioned, if you add too much weight and you start that weight with this button, and that weight is too heavy, it is going to rip your wrist off. Make sure you are used to the weight, you know what weight to use before you start this. So start extra light until you find a range that's good for you. That's my opinion. You start this weight, it's going to pull your arm straight down. All right? So be careful with that. All right? So I know I can handle 10 pounds, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to turn the weight on. And now I'm curling with my wrist. Again, you have a super low range of motion, but hey, it's okay because you know what you're doing. The machine does not necessarily have to know what you're doing. Okay, so that's what I recommend as far as that goes, guys. As far as this preacher curl goes, this is what I want you to do. You're going to need, now unless you have a dedicated preacher bench that you use, like a legit preacher bench, you're going to be using your adjustable bench. You're going to bring it all the way up, okay? All the way up, at least, you know, this is my opinion. I would say all the way up. Or you could even do it, you know what, depending on, it's going to depend on your height also. Okay, it's going to depend on your height. You can bring it all the way up. Let me just make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. Let me get you a better angle. Okay. This should be bad. There you go. That's the angle. Okay. So, depending on your height, you'll adjust your bench. The main thing is, guys, you want to make sure that there's no gap. You want to make sure there's no gap. When you're doing, this is something that I've noticed is done often. Like, even in the gym, people have a problem when they're doing preacher curls. They don't realize you need to take the gap out of the equation. So they might be on their bench going like this. Guys, you don't want this gap here. Okay? You do not want this gap. You want to bring it down like this, and you want to go like this. Now, why is the preacher curl in general so effective? The reason why is because it kind of forces you into a concentric, right? It helps you, number one, what a preacher curl with a dumbbell is going to do is it's going to help you to be able to isolate your arm because you're in this position. So now your bicep is doing all the work. It's taking your shoulder out of the equation, right? It's taking your shoulder out of the equation. You can't cheat with a preacher curl as much as when you're like standing and doing like a bicep curl. You can't cheat as much because you're not standing there like swinging the weight up with your arm. You're over here and your arm is like this. You have no gap here. And it's just straight up muscle movement right now coming from this. Another thing is that a preacher curl forces you to bring it down slow, forces you. You can't just drop the weight or you're going to snap your arm. So you know you've got to bring it down slow, and it does a really intense focus on your bicep. Okay? Fantastic movement. And a great thing with the preacher curl is on tonal is you're going to have an eccentric mode to work with. Again, back to the eccentric mode. Eccentric mode is fantastic because it is going to really, really, truly help you to get the most out of your curl. Great thing about tonal. The weight is off. You turn the weight on with the button. Beautiful, right? So you get into position. You bring the arm of tonal all the way down because you want the weight to come from the downward movement, right? And you're going to go like this. Get into position. Start the weight, and now you have your preacher curl. This is great. If you have a dedicated bench, right? If you have a dedicated bench for preaching curls, that would be fantastic too. You would be able to do this with a preaching bench. You would, a dedicated preaching bench. But if you don't have one, this works just fine. And I feel the benefit. I feel the benefit, guys. It's taking all your other muscles out of the equation. It's forcing you to use your bicep. Guys, I go crazy heavy on some of these workouts right now, but today's not my arm day, unfortunately. So there you have it, guys. That's the preacher curl and the wrist curl on the tonal. Guys, this machine is super versatile. It can change your life in a very quick amount of time. You just got to spend all that money to get it put on your wall. Okay, that's the only downside. But as with anything good, you got to put in the effort. You got to put in, sometimes the effort means you work a little more overtime to make a little money to put this thing on your wall. Once you do that, it's on your wall. Hopefully you'll have no problems. And then you get back to your life. Guys, I highly recommend this machine. It's changed mine, as you know. I hope that this video was helpful. I look forward to seeing you guys at the next one. Talk soon.